Welcome everyone. My name is Erin Murphy and I am the facilitator for Undecided, Undeclared, Undetermined, where to start when I don't even know what I want to do today, through the IACAC Virtual College Exploration Program. So I just want to welcome you to this event. I do want to let you know that you can ask questions through the Q&A button on your screen and that your camera and microphone are off, so you will just hear and see our presenters today. And I also want to remind you there are still more sessions available for you to sign up for through the IACAC.org website. And that if you miss this meeting or miss part of it or any other session, recordings will be available on that same website. So having said that, I want to welcome our presenters and thank you for being here.
Technical difficulty. Hi, everyone. I am Jen Gross, and I am the Midwest Regional Director for the University of Denver. I'm going to share our screen right now so we can start our presentation, and we'll do some introductions here in just a moment. So give me a quick second. There we go. So again, I am Jen Gross. I work with the University of Denver. I am based in the Chicagoland area and I work with students in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. The University of Denver is a medium-sized school, so we're right around 13,000 total students, about 6,000 undergrads, and our focus is undergrad education. So you're looking at a 22 for an average class size, a 12-to-1 student faculty ratio. A few things that make us unique is we're on a quarter system. We have the #3 study abroad program in the nation, where any student that has a 3.0 GPA can study abroad at no additional cost than what they pay to attend the University of Denver for a quarter, but they study abroad for a semester. And if you like Denver, Denver's about 3 million in population. If you can handle 300 days of sunshine a year, snow melting by noon or 1 o'clock in the city, and you're okay with no humidity or mosquitoes, Denver might be a great place for you. And we're coming in with, for the undeclared, undecided, or undetermined student, with about 30% of our students coming in at that point. So I will turn it over to Jill.
Hey everybody, my name is Jill Countryman, and I am the regional-based admission counselor for Texas Christian University. TCU is a medium-sized private university. We have 9,704 students this semester. Interest in TCU has grown tremendously over the last several years. Our third largest group of students on TCU's campus are from Illinois. So that's why I'm regionally based here in Illinois. We offer 115 different majors at the university. We're Division I athletics. We're in the 13th largest city in the US, Fort Worth, Texas. And we'd love to have you learn a little bit more about TCU. I mentioned we have 115 different majors. And for us, because we're, that smaller, medium size, we only have 5% of our current freshmen who came in undecided.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott Siegel. I'm with the Office of Admissions at Indiana University, Bloomington. I'm one of 2 regional admissions directors that work with students in Illinois. So my colleague, Emily Messia, is my counterpart. So the 2 of us work with students in Illinois that are interested in IU. About 1 in 8 freshmen on our campus every year are from the state of Illinois, so a significant population. We're located in Bloomington, Indiana, which is a classic residential Big Ten college town, about 85,000 permanent residents in Bloomington. We're located about an hour south of Indianapolis. 40% of our students come from out of state and about 10% are international students. So it is a big, diverse student body that come from all over the country, all over the world. About 60% of our incoming freshman class that started with us in August are in what's called the University Division, which is our academic home for exploratory students. So the majority of students who start with us do start off without a declared major. Only about 40% of our incoming freshmen are direct admits. So happy to work with any folks in Illinois who are interested in IU, and my contact information will be available at the end of the presentation.
Thank you. So let's take a look at what we're going to go over today. So today's plan is to talk about what it means to be undeclared, undecided, and undetermined. So we want you to understand a couple of different areas that might be important as you're going through this application process. So we're going to look initially at the college search process, and I'm going to take care of that portion of our program. And then we're going to go to Jill, and she's going to talk about application tips for undecided students. And then Scott will come in and he'll talk about the college experience for undecided students. So what happens once you're on that college campus? And then there will be time for Q&A at the end. So as we're going through this, as a question pops up, feel free to go ahead and add that to the Q&A section, and we'll get to it a little bit later. So undeclared, undecided, how do we do this search process? So when we look at some statistics, you're going to be fine. Let me tell you that. 20 to 50% of the high school graduates are going to enter college undeclared or undecided. And so when you look back at what we have told you earlier, 5% of TCU students are coming in undeclared or undecided. 30% of our students at the University of Denver are coming in undeclared and undecided, and 60% at IU are coming in undeclared and undecided. And it is perfectly fine to come in. A lot of times you don't have to actually declare your major until you're a junior, sophomore, junior in college. So you do have plenty of time to kind of figure that out. And when you look at that, declaring your major, 75% of the students that are in college are going to change their major at least once. So, when you are talking about what you want to major in, that's a big question that comes up as you're doing your college search. And how do you answer this question to friends and families when they say, what do you want to pursue? What do you want to major in? My best advice is to go ahead and tell them that you want to major in liberal arts. Liberal arts is an area that encompasses everything, all different academic divisions. It allows you to go ahead and give them an answer, but it also leaves you wide open for that exploration. So when somebody says, what do you want to major in? Say liberal arts. So why is it good to come into a college or university undecided? One thing, you are not stuck in one major area of study. You have a lot of opportunities to do some exploring, to see what is really going to resonate with you. And when you're taking those classes, you're looking at a whole 4 years of what you're going to be doing. One class that may not be right for you will go towards an elective. So you're not going to lose ground by taking classes that may not go to a major or a minor. You're able to try classes across the disciplines. So that means if you are inkling towards math, but you like art, you can try those areas and see what you like to do, and more importantly, what you don't like to do. Those variety of classes allows you that opportunity. You're also, through classroom experiences, going to probably get some hands-on. So maybe there'll be some classroom experiences that will go out into the real world, and maybe, for instance, follow around an events planner if you're doing hospitality management, or maybe you work with, you're taking an accounting class and you do tax help sessions. So you're going to get some real world experience to kind of determine, again, what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And as I said, any class that you're taking is not a waste of time. You're trying to determine what it is that you want to do. And it's okay not to know that right away. It's okay to have areas that you're interested in. It's okay to have different professions you're considering. And there's also different ways and different paths that you might take to get there. So ultimately, when you're coming in undecided, undeclared, or undetermined to a college or university, you're going to take classes and you're going to develop areas that are really going to resonate with you, things that you'll find that you'll have a passion for, that you'll want to pursue. And that's okay, again, to have that time to do it. So a college fit is what you're looking for. So as you're starting this process with no major in mind, maybe just some inklings again, you're wanting to find a place that's going to meet some of those needs that you have, some of those your dream school, those fit areas they talk about. So you're looking for a place that's going to provide you the educational opportunities that you need, and it is an environment that you feel comfortable in. So when you're looking at a variety of different things that come into play are size, location, the academic calendar, activities and organizations. There's some miscellaneous things that are important to different people, and of course, cost. So when we look at size, you've got some great options. There are small schools that are just a few thousand students. You have medium schools that are anywhere from 6 to, I think it's around 12 or 13,000, and the University of Denver is a medium-sized school. And then you have large, more mega universities that have tens of thousands of students. When you're looking at size, you're also wanting to look at, what is that class size? Do I want to be in a large lecture hall? Do I want to be in a class of 80 students? Would I thrive more in a class that might be smaller, maybe 12 students, maybe 20 students? That's really important. You know, where is that best fit for you with the class size? And also the student faculty ratio. You know, as you're visiting colleges and as you're looking up information on different websites, some of this information starts to sound the same. So it's really important to kind of figure out what is that right fit for you in the size. So is it a student faculty ratio where it's 12:1? Maybe it's 30:1. But is it important for you to have an opportunity to visit with your professor, for them to have hours that you can sit in and have those conversations, you know, about different majors, about different activities you're doing in the classroom for research and things along those lines? Or is it more important for you to just be involved and have that professor be a little bit more of a guide instead of somebody that's more hands-on? Location is the second thing. You know, you've got different cities have different sorts of feels to them. So you're looking at the city, you're looking at what is there. Is it a rural location? Is it a large city? Is it a mega an area that is more metropolis? You know, does it have a little bit of residential area with urban flair? What is important to you in a location? Is it a place that has, you know, maybe it's the #2 tech city in the United States. Maybe it is the Rocky Mountains, which is our backyard. Maybe it is the ocean, which might be another university's backyard. You know, where are those places that are really important to you? To give you an idea of location, when I started looking at being a part of the University of Denver, my perception was it's cold, it snows, everybody skis. That's not necessarily me. But when I got there, what I found out was 300 days of sunshine, like I'd mentioned earlier. Snow melts by noon or 1 o'clock in the city because we're not in the mountains or the foothills, we're more in the Front Range. And there's very low humidity. So everything kind of evaporates. So it's not uncommon to have a 70-degree day in the middle of wintertime. That was something I did not know until actually visiting and interviewing with the University of Denver. So keep your mind open for, you know, different things and ask those questions. Academic calendars are also important. There are a variety of different types. There are the semester system where you take 2 semesters, and then maybe there's a summer offering as well. There might be a semester system with a J term, which would be a January month class, and then you come back and do another semester, or maybe it ends with a May class. You're doing 2 semesters in that May class. There's also 1 class at a time, and there's the quarter system and also a trimester system. DU happens to be on a quarter system, which is a true quarter system because we do offer a summer quarter, but it's optional. But they're different, where you have a semester that might be longer, a quarter might be 10 weeks, and 1 class at a time might be 3 weeks. So you want to find the best fit for you on those different types of classes that you can take. Activities and organizations are also important. You know, if you're involved in outreach and organizations, maybe you've got a passion, you've taken on some leadership roles in those areas, those might be things you want to stick with through college. So it's important to find out if they offer those activities or if it's easy to start up some of those clubs and organizations. Also sports, if you are an athlete, what is the, or even if you're just a cheerleader in the background, you know, what division is this school? Is this a Division 1, 2, or 3? Are there club sports that students can participate in that aren't at that higher level of a Division 1? Or are there just intramurals where you can just have things that are more fun and less competitive? Outreach is important. You know, are you, again, giving back to that community? Are there fraternities and sororities? Are there living learning communities? You know, you've got to find out different things that are important to you that would revolve around the different activities and organizations that schools offer. So make sure that you ask those questions. Miscellaneous things might be study abroad. Do they offer a program? Where do they go? What is the cost? Research opportunities. Is it available at an undergraduate level, or do I have to wait until I'm going on to my master's level of education? And academic support. Nowadays, it's really important to have those support systems in place, whether it's health services, whether it's with learning differences and learning styles. You want to make sure that a school offers those sorts of areas that are going to make you be more successful and also help you advocate for yourself through the whole college process. And that helps you learn how to advocate for yourself once you're in the real world. And then obviously cost. Cost is something that has moved into fit more so in the last 10 years because of the cost of college. You know, big things with cost, I would not rule out a school because of cost, because you never know what financial aid you might receive. In my situation, I ended up getting more money to go out of state, and I'm from Illinois, to go to a small school out of state that was private than I did to stay in state and go to my own state universities. And so you want to make sure that you're on track with the financial aid. And you also want to check with the merit scholarships. Merit scholarships, you typically do not have to compete for, but you're competing in the sense that you're providing academic information. And if you fall into a qualification with a GPA, sometimes you have to have a test score. Maybe it's a specific department and you've really excelled in that area in high school. There might be a scholarship along those lines that's based totally on your merit that is a gift to you. There's also talent scholarships, which would evolve around the athletics, music, art, and theater, and those sorts of areas. And those require auditions typically or working with a coach. And then there's the need-based aid, and that would be filling out a FAFSA, which is a free application for federal student aid, as well as maybe a college's specific financial aid form or a CSS profile, which is another form. These allow a college or university to review information that you have financially and provide you awards that can be related to either gift with grants, work study, or even loan opportunities. So financial fit is another area that we're looking at. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jill, and she is going to give you some tips on, now that you've got all this figured out for size and location and everything, how do I apply to these schools?
Thanks, Jen. Jen just did a great job of helping you kind of guide you through all of the things that you need to think about as you are, figuring out a major, and that it's okay to be undecided. So I want to spend the next 10 minutes helping you learn how to communicate that you want to be an undecided major, helping you kind of learn how to package that in an application, and learning how to present yourself as an undecided student. So we're going to move to the next slide and talk about some of those tips. First of all, that you're really not sure what you want to major in, but please don't come out and in an essay or in kind of a short answer say, hey, admission committee, I'm clueless. Don't say that. A better thing to do would be to be talking about, just a couple of different areas that really interest you. So although you can't choose one special, major at the time, let them know through your application that you have an interest in history, and you have an interest in psychology, and you have an interest in mathematics. That would be a great way to kind of paint your application. Also, go ahead and in those essays where you're asked, like, tell us why you want to go into your field of study. Well, obviously, if you're undeclared, you need to be a little bit more creative about that. So maybe talk about that history and that psychology and that math background, and maybe how those kind of all come together and connect in different ways. Show kind of your depth of thought. Lastly, if you're asked to write an essay question or a short answer reply about your chosen career field, just jump ahead. Don't say, I want to be an actuary. Think about how you're going to bring all of the different things that you're thinking about together. And so it's okay to say, my family has a family business, and I don't know what role I want to have in my family business, but I know that I want something that has business in it and marketing in it and strong communication. And that's really a great way. Those tips are a great way to tackle any questions that come up on the application that kind of get more specific about why you're choosing a major. Lastly, on this page, I want you to celebrate the fact that you're undecided. Be really creative about it. One of the things that I discovered as I was doing some research on the web was a student who put together her essay. And she said, you know what? I'm undecided, but it's okay, because on Monday, I'm a writer. And she talked about how she's part of her high school's creative magazine and how she has to edit and write things. And she said, on Tuesday, I am a teacher, because on Tuesday she volunteers at an after-school program and helps tutor students. And then she went on for each day of the week, and she said things like, on Wednesday I'm a chef because my parents work late and I need to prepare the food for my siblings. So again, that's a perfect example of how a student can tackle those questions in an essay and be creative about it. Next slide, please. All right, now let's get to the activity list. This is really a great tool for you because you're able to show kind of that breadth and depth of who you are as a person. Sometimes students, when they know specifically what major they want to study in college, they tend to put a lot of activities that kind of, back that major up. So if they listed engineering as their major, they're going to write down those summer learning experiences or part-time jobs that they have that support engineering. For an undecided student, it's best to really kind of pick and choose what you're going to put on that activities list. Basically, you have 10 lines, so you want to give some thought to it before you go ahead and sit down and type things in. Talk about things that involve different academic areas. Talk about jobs, talk about internships you've had, talk about your service work. And an example would be if you're in Boy Scouts, break that up a little bit. Just don't list that you were in Boy Scouts. List that your time in Boy Scouts spanned from Cub Scouts all the way up to your Eagle Scout project. That will show longevity. Next, talk about fundraising. Maybe for your Eagle Scout project, you had to secure the funds to complete the Eagle Scout project. And then maybe talk about your leadership within Boy Scouts and how you delegated responsibilities to other scouts and volunteers to make that Eagle Scout project happen and be completed. So those are some tips on that activity list. Next slide, please. All right, when you're applying to a school and you want to do kind of the undecided, undeclared route, do some research, find out what that school uses as a term for undecided. Do they use undeclared? Do they use the word undecided? Do they use exploratory? At TCU, we use the term pre-major, which means students just haven't discovered and locked into a major at that time. I've heard other colleges talk about the university college or the discovery major. So again, just do a little bit of research and use those terms as you're talking to admission counselors, as you're filling out your application. And I think that will be a great thing for you to do. All right, next up, show demonstrated interest. Talk to the admission counselor. You should know the name of the admission counselor for each school that you're applying to. We're in a pandemic, so some of you might be able to visit campus. Some of you may not be able to. Look at what lists there are of things that you can do in person or virtually, and just explore those things. So if you want to sit in on a nursing information session at a university, you can do that. And then also look and find where is a session on maybe the university college, where undecided students typically start their college experience. Those are all things a lot of colleges have put a lot of work into putting these things online because they know that you can't make it to campus right now. Also, with recommendation letters, I want to move on to that next. A student who's applying for engineering, I'll go back to that example, they might ask one of their engineering teachers in high school if they've done that project lead the way. Maybe they'll ask an engineering teacher to write one of their recommendations. For a student who's undecided and maybe considering a lot of different options, think about, maybe my English teacher should write one, and I am kind of interested in science, so maybe I'll have my biology teacher write another recommendation for me. Next slide, please. All right, now it's fantastic to apply as undecided or exploratory, but there are some exceptions. I've put together a list for you, and one of those would be a special major, like a special major where very few colleges have this major and they only have so many spots available. In that instance, for that college, you probably do want to list that special major so that you're brought into the consideration. Competitive majors. I know at TCU, nursing is our most competitive major. Each year we admit about 15% of the total applicants for that major. So if a student's undecided and also thinking about nursing, I always encourage them, write down nursing as your intended major on the application. You can always change it later and switch from nursing to maybe something else, but because it's so competitive, you want to have that on the application. Next would be an example of where you don't want to maybe go in undecided on that application. Majors that take the four full years. Education, for example, you've got to take, classes A, B, C, D, all the way through to get ready for a student teaching or clinical experience. So if you're thinking education, but you're also thinking undecided, again, apply for education because you want those 4 years and you don't want to have to go back for another semester or another year. Again, another example would be fine arts majors, because often there's another application that you need to fill out about your training. You need to do an audition. So again, that would be an exception. And then lastly, direct admit majors. So if there's a university that has a direct admit medical school option, some do, that might be a situation where you're like, wow, I'm thinking biology, maybe chemistry, but for this situation, because they're direct admitting, I'm going to take them up on that and just see what can happen. And then lastly, majors that are 4+1 with a bachelor's with a year added on as a master's, or a 3+2. For us at TCU, athletic training now requires a master's. So for that, I would encourage a student, if you're thinking that, go ahead and apply for athletic training because it's a specialized 3+2 program. And then last but not least, I want to talk about some students use applying as undecided as kind of a strategy. Maybe they're thinking, hey, maybe I don't think my grades are strong enough to be a business major, so I'll just say I'm undecided, and then they'll admit me. Well, at some colleges that might work, but at other colleges, if you're admitted as undecided and then want to switch majors, you need to go through the application process all over again. So I hope these tips were helpful. And next up, Scott's going to talk to you a little bit about just how to make this all come together when you're on campus.
Great, thanks, Jill. Thanks, Jen. So you've heard some great information about applying to colleges and understanding what the different options are in terms of applying as an undecided, undeclared, exploratory student versus applying to a particular program. And Jen went over some great information in terms of that college search that I know a lot of you are engaged in right now in terms of trying to determine that right fit. But once you've made that decision, you've applied, you've heard the great news that you've been admitted, you've decided on where it is that you would like to go, what happens once you get to a college campus if you were admitted as an undecided or undeclared student? Are you completely on your own to try and figure all this out? Absolutely not. No matter the size of the institution or the type of the institution, if they are admitting students as undecided or undeclared, there will be resources to help you navigate all of the options that are available on that particular campus. Student success is very important to us. Of course, we all work in the admissions world, but we're a part of a larger department usually on our campuses that's enrollment management. And there are folks that track very closely the persistence to graduation and those numbers that pertain to the retention from the freshman to sophomore year and on into the upper class years and on to graduation. And the idea is that we are admitting students that we want to persist to graduation, that become happy, successful alumni that come back and support their alma mater. So those resources are going to be there for you to get off to a great start academically and socially and culturally on your campus. And if you are an undecided or an undeclared student, there is some additional help that's going to be needed because you will have some decisions down the line. You can't graduate from an institution undecided. So at some point you will be making a decision about what it is you would like to study. And so those resources are there to help you. They typically start with the academic advising, but there are also additional opportunities through classes, as well as in the freshman year, a growing number of campuses right where you live within the residential programs and services on that campus. So talking first about advising, I did a little bit of research for this presentation. I didn't want to talk just about IU. I want to talk about a couple of other institutions that you may be interested in that are here in the Midwest, and I think do really great things with exploratory students. One of them is a Big Ten peer of ours, the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. They have what they call the Center for Academic Planning and Exploration that goes by the acronym CAPE. And CAPE is a central resource on the Twin Cities campus that offers one-on-one coaching, major exploration workshops, a 1 credit hour exploration course, peer mentoring with upper class students who also started off as exploratory, and additional programming such as major minor expos, where all of the academic departments are available in one centralized spot for exploratory or undeclared students to have those conversations with faculty and staff about the opportunities for engagement, for research, for internships. What does it look like in terms of doing a major and a minor, a double major, all of those types of opportunities in one centralized spot through programs that CAPE offers. So I thought that that was a really fantastic program that's offered at the University of Minnesota. That's certainly within the advising context. Most students would meet their academic advisor. Certainly on our campus, that happens at summer orientation, and we utilize specialized advisors for exploratory students. So on our campus, we call undeclared or undecided students exploratory, and our exploratory advisors have a special skill set to help students navigate all of the resources that are available and to support them in their journey of finally deciding upon a major. Now, on our campus, you can remain in the university division until the end of the sophomore year, at which point you need to declare a major if you want to graduate in 4 years. Most students on our campus will leave that university division between 1 and 3 semesters after they enter the university. And so on our campus, that university division does offer a number of different courses that they do really in collaboration with our 13 different career planning and placement centers on campus. And so there are a good number of kind of 1 credit hour, 6 to 8 week long classes that freshmen that are exploratory are encouraged to enroll in to do a little bit of a deeper dive. So X152 is a popular class on our campus. It's called Map Your Future. It's an 8-week class, and creating an e-portfolio of all of your academic skills, all of your life skills, all the things that you're interested in, that you're passionate about. That is the end goal of that class, is to create this e-portfolio so that you've got it right in front of you, all the things that make you excited about being a college student and eventually finding that academic fit and that career path. There's also a class that's Q294, College to Career 1, Explore Your Options. And that allows students to take kind of that 30,000 foot view of all of the different academic schools on our campus, as well as understanding more about how those schools utilize their career planning and placement services to help students connect with internships and eventually permanent positions. They take a little bit of a deeper dive with HIPLIC on our campus, which is our Health Professions and Pre-Law Center. So the students that maybe think that they want to go into healthcare but don't know exactly what that means can do more exploration into medicine and dentistry, optometry, physical therapy, nursing, physician assistant programs, pharmacy, all of those kind of things before making a final decision. We also have a program or a class Y100 that's offered through our Luddy School of Informatics, Computing and Engineering that is all about exploring careers in technology. And so if you like technology, you like computing, but you're just not exactly sure how that's going to all fit together. Maybe you came in with some ideas in mind, but you're not quite sure. Computer science, data science, informatics, computer engineering. How does all of this fit together? Cybersecurity. So that's going to be an 8-week class that gives you the opportunity to explore all of those different career fields and what's available on our campus. And then a similar type of program that is offered through the O'Neill School of Public and Environmental Affairs at IU and that is careers and helping professions. And so if you've got this idea that you really like working with people, you want there to be a service component to your career path, but you're not exactly sure how all that fits together, that's going to be a class that you can take that's 6 weeks long that gives you the opportunity to explore more what nonprofit management looks like and what healthcare management looks like, and psychology and neuroscience and cognitive sciences, speech and hearing sciences, and all of those different opportunities are given a little bit of a broader examination so that you can find the right fit for you in terms of an academic and a career path in the helping professions. So those are some classroom related opportunities for students that come in exploratory to take that deeper dive and kind of see what's available. Certainly on a large public research university campus like IU, over 200 different majors. There are going to be things that you're going to discover when you get to campus you had no idea even existed. And that's what those advisors and those classes are there for. And then, as I mentioned, and I believe Jen mentioned earlier, living learning centers, there are certainly housing opportunities, not unique just to Indiana, but at many, many universities all around the country that allow you to live with other students who you share something in common with. And so that could be an academic interest. It could be you want to do education. I want to live with other education students, or I know I want to do business. I'm going to live with other business students. But something you may have in common with some other freshmen would be this not knowing, right? Being an exploratory student, being undeclared. And at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, they have a living learning community for first year students that's called the Discover You Living Learning Community. And I did a little research on that, and it sounds like a great program. I did my master's work at Miami, and I was aware of this program then. It is an opportunity for students to live with others who are also exploratory. And it gives students the common kind of focus in examining an individual's values, interests, personality, skills, and strengths. I'm probably going to take some personality inventories like the Myers-Briggs, discover what you're really passionate about and learn how to articulate those passions and how to translate those into an academic and a career path. It allows you to create and participate in an inclusive community with other students. You certainly engage with faculty and staff from across the university. They're going to come right to where you live and do information sessions that are going to be your advisors, that are going to share information about their programs. You'll gain exposure to campus resources. And the LLC provides students with a variety of experiential learning opportunities. So talking with upper class students who are in these majors, who are doing undergraduate research, who have studied abroad, who have done an internship, and how did I get there, and how can you get there as well? And there are 2 classes associated with being a part of that Discover You Living Learning community that are also, like at IU, facilitated through the career planning and placement opportunities on campus. So next slide, please. Great. And so some other opportunities that you may want to consider in terms of coming in exploratory, there are lots of ways that you can customize your academic experience on college campuses. So while you certainly are going to be asked on the application to indicate a first choice major or school, creating your own major is an opportunity at many, many places. I know that at a couple of our institutions, creating your own major is an option. So you can take the best parts of different departments and programs on campus to create something unique to you. So on our campus, we've had students that have created their own major in peace studies by taking international studies and languages and religious studies and sociology and political science and public policy and creating their own major in peace studies. And a lot of those folks that have done something like that maybe have an intention of going on into the Peace Corps or working in foreign service or going into a graduate program in international relations, but wanted to do something unique to their own experience. So creating your own major might be an option. Doing a dual curriculum, so exploring what might be available to combine several different things that you're interested in. Doing a double major, of course, but there may be some more formalized opportunities on the campuses you're looking at to combine business with technology or the life sciences with something in public health. So different opportunities that way. And then certainly knowing that there will be opportunities, and many folks do change their major. So even if you're coming in, even as a direct admit to a program, knowing that these resources are out there so that you can circle back around to them if you have had a change of heart, or maybe you want to keep your options open for a totally different kind of minor. These types of on-campus resources are there to help you manage that process at the collegiate level. And then really beyond graduation, the average is that folks change jobs about 7 times in their lifetime. And so continuing to look to your alma mater for support in continuing education and networking in an ever-changing world, you're going to rely on the institution where you completed your degree to help you find that next great thing in your life once you've graduated. Okay, next slide. So I think we're running pretty tight on time here, about 5 minutes left to answer some questions. We do have a question for all of you. Jen and Jill and myself, we're all veterans in college admissions, have been working with students in Illinois for many, many years. There aren't too many places I can think of in the country where you can do an undergraduate degree in being a college admissions counselor. So go ahead and put in the chat, what do you think that the 3 of us majored in college? And then we'll open it up for additional questions. Nobody's ready to hazard a guess yet, guys. Should we let them know?
I think we can do the big
Oh,
reveal.
we got some guesses. PR.
Oh, okay. PR.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ooh.
Teaching. Business. Mathematics, finance.
Nice guesses.
Yeah, really good guesses. All right, should we reveal?
Let's go ahead and reveal.
Okay. Jen, you want to go first?
Yeah, I was an art major and a theater minor. I got drawn into theater because my friend who worked in theater was majoring in it, knew that I had a sewing machine with me, and I had been sewing since I was like age 7. So she said, hey, come to the theater department with me, which happened to be in the art department building too. So they went hand in hand. And then I had a concentration in journalism.
And for me, my major was speech communication and a minor in event planning. And it's really served me well. I mean, people communicate every day. So I've learned how to hopefully speak better, but also how to dissect what people are saying and kind of understand when a student has a question, what they really mean.
Yeah, and I majored in history at Indiana and then had a minor in journalism. Actually, it was a PR concentration in journalism. So whoever said public relations was spot on with one of the pieces of my undergraduate experience. Great. Well, we're certainly available for a few more minutes here. I know that they keep the time on these presentations very tight. So if you've got any quick questions, we're happy to answer those in the Q&A. You'll also see the QR codes there for each one of our institutions in terms of requesting information or our mailing list. There's also the email for each of us there. As we mentioned, we are all responsible for admissions in the state of Illinois for our respective institutions, and would be happy to engage with you further about this question of applying exploratory, as well as anything we can help you out as it relates to our individual institutions.
It looks like we have a question. How do we even decide if we're undecided? Like, I'm not sure I want something like nursing or history. Do I put something competitive even if I won't likely pursue it? Jill, you touched on that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should only list a specific major if at that college that you're applying to, it's tougher to get in because you want to be in the conversation for one of those spots. So you don't need to list anything unless it's genuinely something that you have an interest in.
And I think it's really okay to come in undecided or undeclared. You know, when you look at the majority of students out there, at least a third, a third is the average for students coming into colleges and universities, and you saw the variance between TCU having 5% DU having a third, and Indiana having right around 60%. So I think it's perfectly fine to come in undecided. This is your opportunity to kind of try things that you haven't thought of and find out what's really going to resonate with you.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. One of the options that this particular question asker, or a person was interested in, is nursing, and nursing is going to be one of those that, as Jill mentioned, can be a really rigid curriculum in terms of starting right off, and everything kind of builds on itself in terms of the clinical experiences. So nursing would be one that usually students they're pretty confident that nursing is what they want to do, right? It's a very career-oriented degree versus something like history or, person also mentioned business. There are a variety of different ways you can go with that. So talking with the schools that you're interested in and seeing how that might fit in at their institution would be helpful.
And there was one last question. The Common App, the prompt essay does not require you to talk about your interested major. How would you tell colleges we are undecided? You don't have to talk about it in the essay. I think there's an area where you can put if you're decided on a major or not, and you can put in undeclared or undecided in that specific area of the Common App. Am I correct with that, you guys?
Yes. And I think our time's up.
Yes, I want to thank Jen, Jill, and Scott. Thank you so much for all this amazing info, and remind everyone attending, you will get a quick survey as you exit the webinar. Please take advantage of all the sessions available at iacac.org, and don't forget that recordings will also be available. So thank you very much, everybody. Bravo.
Yay.
Thanks, guys.